Leave your comments on the Ask Reddit sub, and I'll read your answers on the next episode of LWIAR. What are some plot holes so big you can drive a truck through? When I was a kid, I definitely noticed how many movies had the main character question if Santa was real or not. Seemed fishy. There are no movies where the main character questions if George Washington was real. This sounds like it could be the plot of National Treasure 3. C-3PO, human-cyborg relations, is fluent in over 8 million forms of communication and, in fact, was built on Tatooine, yet doesn't speak Jawa. Anakin Skywalker decides his mother, a slave and maintenance worker, needs a droid and builds her a translator and general diplomacy droid. I think it's safe to say that not much thought was given to this particular plot point. Jawa dialect kit. In Now You See Me Too. Why and how did the FBI have any jurisdiction in London? Wouldn't there be more of an Interpol thing? But character continuity, right? Bigger plot hole is that it wasn't named Now You Don't. I always thought they missed a massive opportunity there. And what's more, both kids are not even angry. They're just like awesome new sister. New family, yes. And sure, the sister part would be exciting. But by 10 you'd definitely be old enough to feel angry at an entire half of your family ignoring your existence. Because it wasn't just your dad, mom walking out. It was their entire extended family all choosing to decide you don't exist as well. And then, at the end of the Lindsay Lohan movie, the parents decide to get back together and get remarried. But okay, who's uprooting their entire career? Elizabeth has a very successful fashion line and boutique in downtown London. That could feasibly move to America, but probably like LA or New York. Meanwhile, Nick has presumably a very successful vineyard, which can't be moved at all. So he either hires someone so he never needs to be there, or Elizabeth runs her entire company remotely. Like, their careers are not well suited, and it's not the point of the movie or reconciliation, but it literally bothers me that neither has a career that is just simple to move, lol carrot. Also, this is literally one of my favorite movies of all time. So I think about it too often. TBF, Luke and Leia were intentionally separated to keep them safe. In The Parent Trap, apparently each parent had a favorite kid, and apparently hated the other parent so much they were fine with just not seeing the other KLD again. Not sure if it counts as a plot hole, but there's one scene in Spider-Man 3 that's never made any sense to me. Peter takes a small sample of the symbiote to one of his college professors so he can get a better idea of what it is. The professor looks at it under a microscope and says, "It's definitely alien. I wouldn't let any of this stuff touch you." That's it. Proof of alien life brought to you by one of your students, and your only takeaway is don't touch it. That's freaking insane. Oh, look, it's an alien species. Just don't touch it. Edit. Thanks for the upvotes. Did not expect that. Right. It's amazing how few people caught how ridiculous that exchange is. I point it out to people all the time and almost nobody realized it before I mentioned it. In Supernatural, it's mentioned that demons react negatively to the word Christo, but the word is never mentioned again after that episode. I really like the idea of faith-based magic not working with people who don't have devout faith. There are two examples in books I like. The Dresden Files has a character who wields a holy sword which the main character cannot use, because without the faith in God the sword has no power. Additionally, Father Callahan in Salem's Lot greater than initially his Christian symbols is super useful against the vampires. The minute he places his faith in the cross and holy water for protection and not God who gives those symbols power, he loses that protection. Less than obviously Supernatural can't go that heavy on the faith aspect, but the boys could lose the grace of God because of the things they have done and maybe have to serve a penance to get it back. Otherwise their spells are just funny words and their holy weapons are just knives. I just wonder why they didn't use a portal to teleport the gauntlet off Thanos' hand. One of the directors addressed that Thanos' skin is almost impenetrable. We don't know whether Doctor Strange had the capability to do it, Russo said. If he failed to cut it on time, Thanos would still able to do the snap. Doctor Strange realized this issue during his millions of test runs. I guess makes sense. The smart thing to do was literally foreshadowed and they didn't follow through on it, lol. I just reckon that Doctor Strange didn't like the cut of Tony Stark's jib and thought of an elaborate method that involved slaughtering trillions to get him to kill himself. Edit. Thanks for all the upvotes and awards. Guys, I've spent this morning reading your comments and it's really brightened my day. Special mention to you, DC4 MVP, regarding Thanos and his strawberry problem. That did get me chuckling. Carefully, but also passionately. Ater, thank you for the silver. You are too Liz too. Have you seen the size of an anaconda's dick? Has to be an official interview question for park rangers. Wait, are you some kind of horse scientist? Yes, I am theoretical horse scientist. It still blows my mind that they shot the catapults after they sent their cavalry into the darkness. You forgot how a recently killed, reanimated wight can't break out a wooden box when being transported to Cersei, yet the centuries-old bones of the Starks can bust out of their stone crypts so easily. And then, even though they can break Trough stone, they fail to kill any named characters in the crypt, despite the fact that those people were there because they lack fighting ability. They also lacked a ton of foresight, locking themselves in a crypt while an enemy who can literally raise the dead is outside your walls. Tyrion, the frick, man. If I recall, Tyrion becomes retarded because they're out of book Tyrion material, and I don't think he's even with Dany in the books. In Black Panther, when he falls into the water, he gets pulled out by a fisherman from the northern tribe. Later on the movie, the leader of the tribe says that they are all vegetarians. They are also completely isolated, and don't trade. Why do they have a fisherman? I love seeing Mitch Hedberg pop up randomly. One of my favorite movies, but Interstellar. There's the one planet where the surface is water with huge waves and time moves much slower. So like 5 minutes on that planet is 2 years on Earth. Or something like that. Before going down, the scientists discuss how risky this is, as even if they go down to get the earlier astronauts and check the planet out for habitability, years will pass on Earth while they're down there, and Earth is running out of time. They are experts in this and they fully understand the time distortion on this planet caused by their black hole it orbits. However, they decide to go anyways because the astronaut that went there to check it out has been sending positive signals about the environment and habitability of the planet for something like 12 years. So OMG, we have to go if it's so good that she's been there that long and everything is good. Their only concern is about the amount of time that will pass on Earth. After they land, they have this massive realization that it's just a bunch of shallow water with massive tidal waves every hour or so, and the astronaut they sent there 12 years ago actually just landed like 30 minutes ago in her time, because of the time distortion, and is dead. Then they are like, Odo, we've been getting positive signals for 12 years because for her it's only been 30 minutes and she hadn't been hit by a wave and killed yet. This planet is bad. The entire rest of the plot is completely dependent on the fact that they get fricked by this stop, as the ship now has low fuel from orbiting the planet for like 15 years while the others were down there. So the entire movie rests on the idea that a group of the world's best physicists who had already identified and discussed the time distortion of the planet didn't connect it to the fact that their 12 years of good signals actually means less than an hour of good signals because of that very time dilation. Edit 1. This toast restored my faith in the fact that you can comment on something with over 1k comments and still get some feedback. Edit 2. I can't respond to all the replies individually, but I agree that the movie has a lot of scientific inaccuracies that are potential plot holes. However, I can suspend my disbelief about those when watching a sci-fi movie like this. The reason I pointed out this specific plot hole is that it's a logical problem within the rules of the movie. Thanks for all of the responses. And I hated how Anne Hathaway's character wouldn't just leave ASAP. Like, we need the data. For what? If there's a tsunami every 20 seconds, we obviously can't live here. Also on that same note, she gives Cooper, the audience though, really, a mini special relativity lesson. As if he wouldn't already have taken an entire class on just that theory alone. Superman flying upwards at incredible speed to catch a person in free fall would probably cause more damage to the falling person than if they hit the concrete due to the sudden change in velocity. Edit. I understand he's Superman and can do a lot of crazy crap that people can't usually do, but it's just as much a plot hole as is anything else. Another edit. Jesus, okay, it's not technically a plot hole, but chill. A lot of things in superhero movies are like that. They ignore the strength of materials. For example, maybe Hulk is strong enough to grab a tank by the gun barrel, spin it around, and toss it off into the distance. That's his superpower, so I'll give them that. But that gun barrel isn't strong enough to support the weight of the tank, let alone the forces involved in throwing it. IRL, the gun would just be ripped out of the turret. This kind of stuff used to stand out and bug me, though I've become less picky over time, tbh. I'm currently watching the first season of The Boys, and they actually address stuff like this. At one point there is a meeting for people who have been hurt by superheroes on accident, and someone mentions how their spine was broken when they were saved. There's also a scene where, and I'm trying to avoid spoilers as much as possible, there's an airplane falling out of the sky and the Superman equivalent explains he can't just carry it to safety because the skin of the aircraft wouldn't be able to support the pressure of the aircraft's weight focused entirely on his hands, if that makes sense. They explain this in the comics as Superman having a bioelectric force field that he can extend to slow down and distribute the weight of people and large objects. Utter bullcrap, but that's comics for ya. Yeah, it's really good. If superheroes were a thing, this show would be a documentary. Terminator 1. The freaking Terminator grabs Sarah Connor by the shirt. But let's go of it. WTF was that? It's a freaking robot. As soon as it grabbed Sarah Connor's shirt, a freaking don't let go ever program should have started. Maybe because he was a machine, he took his programming too literally. Order. Kill Sarah Connor. Situation. Sarah Connor detected. Output. Extend arm and grab to kill Sarah Connor. Situation. Shirt grabbed. Analysis. Shirt is not Sarah Connor. Output. Released shirt. In T2 there's a deleted scene where the T-800 says that when Skynet sends a unit out on its own their CPU is set to read-only. Specifically so they don't become self-aware and turn on Skynet. Every Terminator also has limited knowledge on the capabilities of other Terminator units. So in case one does go rogue it can't as easily dispatch other units sent out to kill it. IIRC The Terminatrix was one of the only units made almost specifically to kill other Terminators. Not related but is. In 13, after the earthquake, and everybody is standing around in shock and then dude yell, "Come on 11." And the casino explodes in cheers and they all go back to gambling. I remember thinking, well, that was the most realistic part of the movie. Also, I know this is a fricked up take usually reserved for what terrible movie do you love. But 13 is easily my favorite Ocean's edit. Fixed to correct numbers shouted out. In season 2 of Dexter, Rita asks Dexter how he knew how much heroin to give her ex-husband and deduces that Dexter himself is a heroin user. Dexter was top of his class in med school and is a forensics guy. I can't imagine it would be hard for a guy like that to figure it out. Dude was a science genius and works for the police. And not even as the coroner. Dude had the MD and decided he wanted to practice below his license. He could have written his own bogus autopsy reports as the forensic pathologist. It's coming back for 10 episodes though. And to fix the final. Wait, for real? Yep, autumn 2021 apparently. 1 season, 10 episodes. Oh crap, this is the first response I've come across that blew my mind. This never occurred to me. The mind of the writer must be too complicated to understand. Snow White. Why didn't the witch just stab her after she fell asleep? Rule number 2, the double tap. Mission Impossible 2. The guy is trying to create a cure to all flus. To do this he has to invent super duper flu. He doesn't, he invents a cure. Then they destroy the cure even though it cures all flus. WTF. Thanks for watching LWIAR. The best of recent r/AskReddit submissions and comments. If you like this video, check out LWIAR too. And don't forget to like and subscribe.